It feels paradoxical how the gaming industry is increasing the budget on a lot of their games, or at least in the AAA gaming industry they are, while simultaneously laying off employees because they can't afford to sustain their current work environment. Now, when I saw this story pop up from The Gamer, I thought it was the same story I saw several days ago about how employees were replaced by AI that they were forced to train. Come to find out that was a different studio, which indicates that this is kind of the direction the current AAA gaming industry is starting to shift to. Now, before I jump into this article, make sure you click that subscribe button too. And if you can, click the like button and leave a comment too, because YouTube prioritizes engagement and it really helps out with the channel. All right, so the headline from The Gamer: even the studio behind one of the most beloved games of the year is reportedly seeing layoffs. And this is talking about the Elder Scrolls for Oblivion Remaster. When that was released, it sold pretty well and was well received amongst the public, but they didn't make enough money off that. That's why they're forced to get rid of a lot of people within the company. Virtuos is evolving to meet the changing needs of our partners in the industry, says the statement. As game development grows increasingly complex, we are realigning our global footprint and capabilities. Now, I just love the corporate talk right there. We're not downsizing. We're not laying off people. We're realigning our global footprint and capabilities. I mean, it's just great how they try to put a spin on it to make it seem a lot more positive than what it actually is. They could basically be saying, yeah, we're failing to reach profitability, so we need to get rid of some people because we can't afford them. So capabilities to strengthen our offering in high value code development, ranging from full game engineering to advanced art, including creative content, production and live services. And then it starts talking about the amount of layoffs for the different regions, as well as how successful Oblivion Remaster was upon its release, saying it's up for a Game of the Year award, or it could be a contender for a Game of the Year award, which to me, that seems kind of strange because it's a remake. I mean, I don't think remakes or remasters should be up for an award like that. Maybe they should have their own category, or maybe just not be up for an award because it is a remaster, but that's a whole other subject entirely. However, this has not saved the studio from layoffs, according to Gutas Andres. I'm probably mispronouncing that horribly. Sorry about that. French video game publication Origami via PC Gamer, Virtuos is reportedly set to lay off around 300 employees, which make up around 7% of its staff. 10-point Blue Sky thread also claims that devs were made to undergo mandatory generative AI training. So they're basically training the AI that is going to eventually replace them, because it's cheaper just to have one person create a bunch of prompts for AI versus having a team of people do what the AI is supposed to be doing. And the people who are working on for the company making these games were also forced to go through this training, or at least try to help train the AI that really just took their jobs from them. Mass layoffs are underway at Virtuos, the studio behind Oblivion Remaster and the upcoming Metal Gear Solid Delta, says the post by Andrews, translated via Google. 300 positions, 7% of the workforce are at risk at this outsourcing specialist located in Asia, the US, and Europe, including 3 branches in France. Now, the French one was the one that was primarily responsible for the Oblivion Remaster, and so far they've actually kind of gotten the light end of these layoffs, but these layoffs that we're getting right now are just kind of the first wave, or at least there's reasons to suggest that it is just kind of the first wave of layoffs, and there's going to be more to come in the future. According to several sources, these layoffs will initially, like I said, target China, 200 people. So it's not saying that it's going to end here. It's probably going to be more as the years go by, or probably within the next year or so, but will affect many other departments, including the French studios responsible for the recent success, the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster. The watchword of the announcement made to the teams a few weeks ago, competitiveness, in that the studio isn't competitive with their current workforce, so they need to try to cut the blow in order to make profitability with a lot of their games, because even though, like I said, Oblivion Remaster was well received, it wasn't profitable for them. And this article describes it as a showcase game, basically something that the studio didn't expect to make money, but they just wanted to make it for the sake of it, because as like a kind of vanity project for them. Another kicker in the report revealed that the studio had ramped up its generative AI experimentation. In 1 year, we've gone from a few group level presentations to basic but mandatory training for employees, said a source. everyone Andreas reportedly spoke to has lost trust in the management team. And I can definitely see why, because I don't believe a lot of these people working at these studios didn't see what was coming or didn't see. I mean, if they didn't see it, then I think it's kind of on them for not preparing ahead of time. But we've seen this in the gaming industry for the last couple of years, where a lot of these studios are not profitable with their current business model. I've heard one developer, I think it was from Ubisoft, say that in a given year, there's probably only 10 games within the AAA gaming industry out of the dozens that are released that are profitable for their studios. And even then, it's like the profit that they make on those games are not necessarily enough to offset the losses on all the other ones that they produce. So with the way things are going right now, it's just not sustainable within the current AAA market. And that's why they need to try to find some way to actually make money off of their games. And one of those is just spend less money on them. And they're trying to choose to do that by just replacing the workforce that they currently have with AI. And maybe that could work, but I think a better solution is what we saw with something like Expedition 33, where they were able to actually produce the game a lot cheaper with a small team and make something that people actually enjoyed. Now, there were these rumors going around saying like that it was only 30 developers or less than 30 developers who produced the game. And I'm pointing out this article right here from PC Gamer that's saying that that's not the case, because yeah, so even though there was only like 30 people or less than 30 people as like core members of the development team, they outsourced a lot of the stuff to other studios and they produced a lot of it too. But the reason why they're trying to make it seem like it's less than 30 developers, because a lot of people within the AAA gaming industry are going to try to insinuate that the game costs a lot more to produce than what it is, because they're trying to justify having these 1,000+ teams working on a lot of AAA releases in order to say like, see, we have to spend all this money on games, because it's not, you can't just make a game on just a couple dozen people. You have to have these huge teams in order to do that. But look at the bottom of this article right here, because I think this is kind of the big kicker to all this. It's not hard to imagine ways in which repeating the myth of Clair Obscur's team size can contribute to worse conditions for games and the people developing them. If publishers and investors are convinced that games like Expedition 33 were made with only 30 developers, they'll be less inclined to support the necessary staff and production budgets that development projects require, regardless of whether it's true. Now, to me, that's two different things, because you can see with Expedition 33, they made it for a relatively cheap budget. I believe it was around $30 million or something like that. It doesn't take multi-$100 million budgets in order to produce it. They were able to make it on just like a $30 million budget. And while the team might not necessarily be as small as what some people are saying, the fact of the matter remains that they were able to make a game that a lot of people loved, that sold really well. And it was made relatively cheap with a smaller team than what we see with a lot of AAA gaming industry. So we're basically looking at two choices for games in the future. We're going to look at games produced with small teams like this for a relatively low cost, or we're going to look at a lot of these major releases with huge budgets coming out of AAA studios that are made with AI. So as a gamer, I think I know which one I would rather pick, but let me know which one you choose in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click the like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.